Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Daily Newcastle podcast. My name is Michael Grameslow. I'm your host today, and I am joined by Jo Iain and Ian Mackay. Ian, I'll start with you. How's it going, bud?
It's going great, and it's going slightly better than I thought, knowing that we're talking to some ladies and to some gentlemen. And there was me thinking it was just football fans, but you know, so it's going good.
Degenerates. Absolutely cracking stuff, and don't worry if I'm not calling anyone a degenerate. I'm on about myself. But I'm also joined in the team by Jo Iain. How's it going, Jo?
I'm good. I'm also degenerate, so we're all good. It's fine. we all work so well together, yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason we all got put together on the team, and it's worked out very, very well. But in today's episode, we're going to be giving a full review of the Arsenal defeat on Sunday afternoon. As it turns out, 3 was indeed the magic number. We couldn't beat them a 4th time in one season. Maybe a little bit too much to ask for. But we'll start prior to the game. 2 bits of big news with the lineup. I somehow missed the Alexander Isak being out injured when I saw the initial lineup. I went, oh, Botman's back, happy days, and then got a massive surprise when Kev went, Isak's out. I was like, no, he isn't. I would have seen. Oh no. But we'll start with the good news. Sven Botman fit the start, back-to-back starts for the Dutchman now. How do you think he performed overall, Jo Iain?
Well, again, he's been out for a long time, hasn't he, really? So he was never going to be on top form, but I think he had a good outing, if you want to call it that. I find it really hard to break down individual play at the minute. It's like I'm more of a we had a great first half and then not such a great second half type of thing, and I'm talking about overall team obviously at this point. But if we're just talking about Botman, it was nice to see him back at the end of the day. It was, and I was quite excited to see the lineup. And even though Isak was out, strange enough, right before the lineup was announced, I was just like, well, if Isak's going to be playing how he's been playing recently, I'd rather him not play. And then literally like 2 minutes later, the lineup comes out and he's not playing. I was like, all right then. So curse that one.
I didn't mean it. I swear.
I know. Sorry.
Well, what about you, Ian? Glad to see Sven Botman back, and has he impressed from what you've seen?
Well, I'd certainly first half performance we looked solid. That 3 at the back with Murphy and Livramento as marauding wing backs it's a fabulous lineup, because we can push one of the centre halves, whether it's Byrne or Shah that comes running out to join the midfield. It's a killer. Chelsea couldn't get through it. Arsenal couldn't get through it the last time, and they didn't really get through it this time. They were really quiet in the first half. I know what you said there, Jo, about Isak's not being very good. He's been off it because he's been carrying this injury, presumably.
Yeah.
But it's so close to kick-off when it's announced that he's not playing. I was deflated. I can just imagine the rest of the lads being deflated hearing that news. And Callum Wilson's coming on. Going, oh, great, Cal, yeah. You know. But I think there would be an opposite reaction in the Arsenal camp as well, who would have been very nervous playing us. But then to hear that Isak's not coming out, what a shot in the arm for them to get started.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought Botman did as well as he did when he played against Chelsea. He doesn't look like he's carrying any injury at all. It's probably match fitness that got him substituted when he was substituted, and that's good. I hope he's over everything, and we've got him full pre-season, and he's fit and firing and in the first team, probably with a new centre-back partner on the first game of next season.
100%. And to be honest, he's one of those players that every single time he plays now, when he goes down, I'm a little concerned. Even against Arsenal, he cleared a cross, and I could tell he just hit him a bit hard, and he fell backwards. But I was like, if he's fallen backwards, he might have tweaked his ankle or something. It's stupid because it would never happen. But it's just one of those. But yeah, Botman back, very happy about that. Isak, it's been confirmed that it was the minor groin injury. which you might remember as the injury he picked up last season, which led to him missing 10 games for us. It's also the one that led to him missing Liverpool. I did see a lot of stuff after the game, basically people saying, oh, he's going to need surgery in the summer. How is confirmed that is not the case, thankfully. But it was Callum Wilson, as we said, who came in for Isak. Osula replaced him in the 64th minute. Jo, I know you've said you don't really like talking about individual players, but Callum Wilson, what did you think about his performance?
It wasn't great, was it? I wasn't excited to see him start. And obviously he's at the minute the obvious choice for how. I would have loved to have seen him have a bit of balls and play Osula from the start. And it's not going to happen, but I want to see Osula start against Everton because I'm assuming that Isak's now out for that game as well. But no, I wasn't impressed with Wilson. Didn't really do much. Yeah, I don't think he did anything wrong because he didn't do anything right. He just didn't do anything. It was more my kind of overall synopsis of Wilson, unfortunately.
I thought what I saw in that first half, I thought Wilson was actually never back to his real best, is he? Because he's 2 years old.
More mobile than normal.
But he was quite mobile. He was holding the ball up pretty well. He was given as good as he got with the two Arsenal centre halves up his backside. I thought he did as well as we could expect. Faded, obviously, and rightly was replaced with a decent run for Osula. Was it 64 minutes? So he got half an hour plus. And I do like him. He's exciting, even against Arsenal. He's trying stuff. But one fantastic step over and cross through that was just too good for the rest of the Newcastle team. About 10 minutes from the end, beat everybody. I wouldn't mind Osula starting at number 9 position next week against Everton. I think that might just be the maverick unknown that helps to unlock what will no doubt be a very stubborn defence that Pickford is doing everything not to let a goal in with.
Yeah. So are we all agreed then we'd want Osula to start against Everton final game of the season?
Absolutely.
If he's injured. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's become a non-starter really with Callum Wilson. Unfortunately, it might be his last game at St James's Park. I say that unfortunately because he's been a great player for us in the past, but obviously time catches up to everyone, and he is 33 right now. And obviously
he's stuck on 49 goals.
Yeah,
he's had
wanted up to get
so many cameos. I mean, I know he scored against Birmingham, didn't he?
Yes.
To go to 49, but how many times has he come on and played the last 20 minutes, half an hour? And he's a centre forward, and he's not got one against Ipswich. He's not got one against Southampton. His ship has sailed, I think.
Yeah.
I actually struggle to remember. I think he'd been brought onto the pitch for the 3-3 against Liverpool when Fabian Schär scored late on. But I actually don't think we scored from open play this season in the Premier League. Obviously, we scored against Birmingham. But in the Premier League this season, against top teams, when he's been on the pitch, I don't think we've scored from open play. So that is worrying. I can't remember it. Maybe I'm wrong. That isn't the stat I've checked, but I'm pretty sure we haven't.
Michael, I'll be honest, if you don't remember it, I don't stand a chance. And I'm not being rude, Ian, but I'd be amazed if you do, because Michael is the stat guy. So if he's not remembering this sort of thing, prove me wrong, Ian. Ian's looking at me like I'm going to prove you wrong right now.
To be fair, we do score a lot of goals in the first half, don't we? Palace 4 in the first half. Mm-hmm. Forest 4 in the first half.
Leicester the same, yeah.
Leicester
3.
Sorry. 3. So, we don't score a lot of goals once the substitutes are made. We're usually just solid and defending
Sailing.
what we've got. So you might be right there, Michael. The late one at Brighton was a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I can't think of one.
Yeah, 100%. I do have another question that I want to raise sort of off the back of that, but what I'll do first is, because I know we're reaching that 10-minute mark, we'll go to our favourite sponsor. Bioniq.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Absolutely fantastic. And I'm talking about Ian Mackay, not the advert. But the Arsenal game, back to it, it was always going to be a tough one, but it was actually made tougher by the fact of when we needed a little bit of help from everyone else, they just kind of sat back and went, nah, we're happy to get rolled over. And that was obviously Tottenham, West Ham, and Manchester United. So 3 that have been rolled over pretty much every weekend this season, except from when West Ham played Newcastle. But we don't talk about that. But yeah, going into the final weekend, a lot of teams are tied on 66, 1 on 65, 1 or 2 on 65.
2 on 65,
and then,
yeah.
And then Man City obviously have a game in hand. After the weekend, are you at all concerned about our Champions League hopes? What do you think, Ian?
Look, it's Newcastle, isn't it? And I sat through a very one-sided 1-1 draw against Everton last season, where Paul Dummett gifted them a penalty in the last minute of the game for them to get a draw, and we'd been all over them. Pickford played an absolute blinder. So I'm concerned Pickford might play another absolute blinder. And if we draw, that really puts us at risk. I think City will win their two remaining games to finish third. And then therefore it's down to us, Villa and Chelsea. And we have to win, because if we draw that game and Villa and Chelsea win, we drop to 6th, which is shocking, given that I was already counting my winnings for us finishing second 48 hours ago. I don't want that to happen. So I think it's good. I think it's good that we have to win. Can you imagine if we only had to draw for Champions? That's when we would lose the game, if we thought we were just playing for a draw.
Yeah.
So I think we've just got to go all out and blitz Everton. Everton, nothing to play for. Pickford might have, but I'm not sure the whole team is going to feel that way. So my natural Newcastle United supporter experience of 50 years plus has got me concerned. We have to win a game to get anywhere. But in reality, we shouldn't be struggling. We shouldn't be struggling against Everton. Not when Chelsea have got away at Forest to contend with. That's a harder game.
Yeah. Obviously, if Forest win as well, they could still overtake us. So it's one of those where realistically we're only secure if, well, we would need a draw if Chelsea and Forest draw as well, which everything's on us, just the way we would probably want it. But Joe, are you concerned about the fact it's in our hands? Because we don't really do well in that situation.
Come on. We're Toon fans. Will we ever feel fully comfortable? Like, I don't know. I think we could be, I was about to say 12 points clear at the top. Wonder when we've experienced that one before. So yeah, come on. You never fully feel comfortable, do you? But I won't lie, right? There's probably other teams I would prefer to play, it being my last game, because Everton are just one of those teams that, yes, all right, we can beat. But Pickford, of course he's going to have a game, because he's going to want to have a game, because he hates us naturally. We hate him, it's fine. And he will play his heart out to do anything possible to not get us winning. I don't want to at all rely on anyone else. I like it to a degree that it's in our hands, because I would hate to be, on the other hand, it literally not be in our hands, and us like praying that other results are going to go in our way. Because as you've just mentioned, look at last weekend. Everything went against us. So that would be the worst, wouldn't it, really? But look, if we go out there and we do what we can do, we'll win.
Yeah.
But we just have to go out and absolutely fight for our lives. But I'd hope that the players are willing to do that anyway. And Ian, off the back of what you've just said, I'm now seeing a 4th place finish, personally. Because I just see City being typical City, and they've all right, had a hard start to the season, but now all of a sudden they can play again. So
but that's true, and probably is what will come to pass. However, they have lost a very disappointing FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. They probably think that they've got 2 games that they should win, so they're all right for their Champions League qualification. But they're playing Bournemouth, and we know. I think everyone's still going for that place because if Chelsea finish sixth, they will qualify for the Europa League not by league position, but by the fact that they then win the conference. If
Mhm.
that happens, then the number of places in the Premier League that give European football drops down to not just seventh but eighth as well. So I think Bournemouth, Fulham,
Yeah, they've got all to play for.
and Brighton have all got stuff to play for to get that last
Mhm.
place because I think Chelsea are going to win this Conference League, and if Forest beat them, it looks like they'll finish in a Europa League spot. So that's it's very likely. Anyway, those teams have got enough to be motivated to play for. So fingers crossed, Bournemouth. I think they beat City when they played them at home.
Yeah, they've got a
So
great
yeah,
record at home this season, but away,
right.
well, they did all right away
So
at St James's, didn't
yeah,
they?
I like Bournemouth. I think they're a good team, and I know they've not had the consistency they had a few like a month ago, but they're still getting results. So
Yeah,
maybe they can
100%.
take 2 points off City, get a draw, and that brings them back down to us. We've got the same
56.
goal
Yeah,
difference, I think. So then it might be down as to who scores more against Fulham or Everton as to whether we can finish third. So it's all still to play for. And the good news is a win for us gets us Champions League
that's it.
football, whether that's in
It's
third
true.
or fourth or fifth.
Well, that's it. Look, come on, guys. At the end of the day, I know second would have been unbelievable. Let's get real. And I think it was almost the kind of fairy tale of finishing second, having the cup. It just been our best season in a very, very long time. But
Yeah.
are we not genuinely happy with fifth and above when it boils down to it?
Oh,
Come on,
100%.
you know what I mean? It's I mean, we're talking like, oh, it would be disappointing if we don't finish third in that, but we all agree, surely, that fifth and above, at the end of the day, that's all that counts at this point. It's an extra
Oh,
few
yeah.
quid in the purse if we finish one position above, but you're talking pennies really in the grand scheme of things, aren't you? So fifth and above's the main aim. That's
Well,
it.
I've got my 20 quid on at 9 to 2 for us to finish in the top four, Joanne. So that's
When did you put
110
that
I'll
on?
get, which is a little bit of compensation for not having us finishing
When
second.
did you put that
Put
one
that
on,
on
Ian?
before Christmas.
I
Before
remember
Christmas.
that one, to be fair. I
Oh,
remember
so
being
like at
told
the
about,
same
oh,
time as you put the bet on for the second, yeah?
No, that was when we'd done our chat with 11 games to go, and I suddenly thought, we're going to end up winning 9 of
Let's
these.
go for it.
the thing
So
is, I was doing apologies on videos because I was like, Ian's right.
I
I've
know.
messed, I'm so wrong. I look like an idiot. All hail Ian McCann. And then it's
Yeah.
Arsenal of all teams that proved me right. I'm not
He
even
had us
happy.
all convinced, though, didn't he, Michael? To be fair,
Yeah,
Ian, you had us. You had us. I'll give you that.
I was
hey, look,
convinced you were
look,
going to
look how
nail it.
close it was. Look how
It
close it
was.
was.
Yes.
It
It's
was.
down to Isaac's groin. That's what it is. If
Just
Well,
Isaac
like
had
most
been
things.
playing,
I was going to say. Let's not talk
oh,
about
you're
that too
thinking of
much.
you're thinking of Sven Botman's groin, and that's a different story altogether, Michael. Um, yeah, that's down to that. I think if Isaac had played, we'd have been 2 up after 20 minutes, and we would have coasted through to a win because
Yeah,
Arsenal
it
would have
was.
been so deflated that we would have stayed on top. Those things would have run. Raya wouldn't have been quite so. Oh God, did that save? And
Yeah, he
Barnes
had a
goes
blinder, didn't
through,
he?
has a shot. He's going to do really well to get down to save Barnes' shot, but then the defender deflects it past him, and he's already going down, but he somehow managed to reach further back
Yeah.
and tip it round the post.
He
Man
made
of
a
the
few
match, wasn't
great
he?
saves.
Well, Michael, was it
Uh,
not you in the chat that said when did Raya turn into Prime Buffon or something? Was it you that
it
said
was
that?
Kev, but I
Oh,
agreed.
was it
I
Kev?
agreed.
Yeah, it was. I totally
He
agree to
got
that
in there
statement. Like,
before me.
yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
to be honest, I don't. He wasn't the only one from Arsenal who's like deemed as average, and I can say that because Arsenal are planning on replacing him in the summer,
Hmm.
which is
I think
mental
he's a
when you
good
look at
keeper
yesterday's game.
personally, but
Great
yeah,
keeper, yeah. Jimmy's distribution's a bit like Nick Pope's, but it's one of those where I guess
keeps you
that's
on your
why
toes,
he's.
man.
I guess that is probably why they want to get rid of him. But yeah, he's a fantastic shot stopper, one of the best in the league, obviously, and that's why he does so well. But it is a good omen ahead of the weekend's fixture of just how good we were in that first 30 minutes. As you mentioned the save there, we could have been 3 or 4 up in 30 minutes. And if Isak was fit, I think you would be right, Ian. I think we'd be having a much better conversation right now about finishing second, nailing the coffin. Happy days. We're going to have our best season in a long time, but it's still been a fantastic one. But one, Ian?
Whatever happens, this is our best season in a long time.
It is.
Yeah.
Agree.
You know, because at worst case scenario, we're in sixth and we get the Europa League.
Which we can win, by the way.
Winning
Oh,
the
yeah.
Carabao Cup. That is a fantastic season.
Yeah.
And we'd probably all have settled for that at the start.
100%.
So, you know.
If Man U and Spurs can be the finalists.
It has been a very good season.
Yeah.
We can definitely win it next year, as you said, Joe.
Oh,
Those
God, yeah.
two, atrocious. If all we have to do is beat Bodo Glimt to make a final, we're winning the whole thing.
It's a dream, that one.
But, obviously, it wouldn't be a Newcastle defeat without some overreaction on the socials. And as I am an idiot, I'm going to pick up on it. Anthony Gordon. So, obviously, he made the mistake, which led to the Arsenal goal. But there's been a lot said, and I will say it wasn't just yesterday. It's been said a little bit beforehand as well about his attitude in 2025 as a whole. Is that something that's beginning to concern you, Joe? The attitude of Anthony Gordon, or do you just think, to be honest, I said yesterday, he's had 18 fantastic months, a couple of months off the boil, give him the benefit of the doubt. Is that how you feel as well, or is it starting to be a bit, hang on, obviously in the Gordon of Everton?
No, I don't want to go over the top, but I know exactly what you're talking about, by the way, on the socials, because it's hard to avoid sometimes, isn't it, really? And I'm not surprised at all that he's got hammered. I've tried to avoid the socials, I'll be honest, today, to avoid kind of everyone's massive not everyone's, but, you know, the certain few that will massively overreact on things about yesterday's game. But no, I wouldn't say I'm overly concerned about Gordon. I still think his heart's in it. All right, he has had times where I'd be like, well, I don't think he should play because of whatever. But I don't think there's anything untoward in it, if you know what I mean. Or I'd like to think there isn't anyway. I hope I'm completely right here, obviously. But no, I'm not overly concerned, personally.
What about you, Ian? Any concerns building there, or fully behind the England winger?
I mean, yeah, he overhit the ball and had the ball taken off him, and it led to a half chance that Rice put away superbly, by the way.
Yeah.
It could fall to any other player in the Arsenal side, and that just gets knocked back to the halfway line for them to start to build again. Yeah. But, you know, Anthony Gordon is picking the ball up in his own half. He's controlling it. He's going backwards and coming across to try and build something. And that's how so many of our attacks start. And I think if once in a while he's robbed of that and it results in a chance to the opposition, it's a price I would pay. It's a price I would pay to encourage him to be Anthony Gordon and not to be some sort of pseudo Jack Grealish, too scared to say boo to a goose.
It's a great point.
I have no problem with Anthony Gordon's attitude. If he's pissed off because he can't get in the team because Harvey Barnes has been playing so well, he's a team member. And he'll know. You just have to watch when either of them score how the other is congratulating them. They're great pals, great teammates. Anthony Gordon knows how it is. He just has to train harder to get in ahead of him, which I think he has done in the last couple of games. So no, I think Anthony Gordon is another one of our fantastic improved purchases. And was being talked about a month or two ago as being another £100 million player. This little bit of suspension and being out of the first team has probably knocked him down to about 95 mil now. But, you know, that's still double what we paid for him.
100%. And we'll definitely see the best of him next season, I think, in a Newcastle shirt as well. But before we get to next season, we've got to finish this one. And before we finish this season, we've got to get to another advert on this podcast, which is given to us by Zencastr.
Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone in AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Blimey, that was great.
Blimey, bloody great.
I just try to drop a hint who just dropped the bomb. And if anyone has no idea what's going on, that's probably about right. We're not going to tell you.
Probably fair, yeah.
On to the man of the match. So, obviously, it was a great game from one player, and particularly we mentioned David Raya there. I'm just wondering if there was any other players who you think maybe could have picked up the award on the Arsenal side, and then also a man of the match from Newcastle, because we don't really care that much about Arsenal. Joe, you start.
Oh, don't come to me first.
All right, Ian, you start.
Ian, you go first.
Raya, I think, correct. When you sit and watch the
Yeah.
on the Newcastle website, the extended 10-minute highlights of that first half, Raya made, I mean, not just that save where he tipped Barnes's deflected shot round the post. There's a header from Dan Burn, which somehow he gets his hand on from about 3 yards out. And then when Botman stabs the rebound in, he's lying on his back, but he's able to get up and kick a leg out to be able to save that as well. It was an inspired first half from Raya. He's got to be Arsenal's man of the match. Otherwise, it'd have been 3 or 4 down at half time.
Yeah. The man of the match, really. Yeah, he is, yeah. Hands down. I don't even want to think about the rest of the team because still hurts a little bit that we lost, right?
It's annoying.
No, come on. It's undeniable that Raya was man of the match for me, for sure.
Just on that note, I wanted to give a shout out to one of the Arsenal centre-backs, Jakub Kiwior. To quote what someone said to Joe Linton after, I think it was the Norwich performance, I had no idea he was that good. An absolute colossus in the game. It tops the stats, whether it's tackles, clearances, statistics. Every single time we put the ball into the box, it felt like it was just a magnet on his head, and it was just coming towards it. He was absolutely fantastic. Made a few really last man tackles as well that stopped us getting through. And if they end up losing Gabriela Saliba to Barcelona or Real Madrid or whoever does, unfortunately they've got a really good replacement there in Kiwior, which is a shame.
Kiwior, he's the Pole, isn't he? Well, he's virtually already out. Somewhere in Italy's buying him. Oh, sorry, that's what I've been reading. And if that's the case, maybe it's him rather than Gahey or Hoyston's gone, hasn't he? If we're looking for a centre half, that's proven top 4 quality with Kiwior. But I think he's on his way out to the Napoli or Atalanta. I can't remember which one it is. Napoli, I think.
Either way, he'll be doing fantastic next season, particularly in Serie A, because great defender.
Yeah, solid.
Newcastle man of the match. Me and you tried to pick them on the preview, didn't we, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
I picked Dan Burn, and I don't think I was actually that far off, to be honest.
No, you weren't.
Talking about last-ditch defending, there's some fantastic scything, sliding last-ditch tackles from Dan Burn, which I'm always impressed with. And then by the end, his Geordie heart on the sleeve that he's wearing, he did nobble one or two of them really quite well at the end there, didn't he? I just thought I felt sorry for him being on the losing side because he just gives heart and soul every game. Good. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree. What about you, Joe? Who do you think?
I'll give my Newcastle one. I'm going to stick with the keepers, I'll be honest, because Paul made some great saves as well. And Paul, there's nothing he could have done about that goal. Come on. It was. He literally made himself massive, and it's all he could do in that situation. It was brilliant. He saved it. But no, he had a good game, man. And the goal, nobody's going to, we've talked about how good that goal was anyway, but no keeper was getting to that anyway. He was literally at full stretch, and he still wasn't getting it. So, no, I'm going to stick with the keepers on both sides, personally. And I wasn't right at all. I don't think Tonali was at his best, personally. I'm not saying he had a shocker, by the way, before anyone says anything, but he wasn't the man of the match beast that I shouted him to be on the last pod, put that way.
I was pleased Bruno stepped up in that first half. He seemed to boss it, and then he came back into it towards the end of the game. But who else is also just there every game so far? Tino is such a fantastic marauding left back.
Yeah.
And there was a lovely link up with Anthony Gordon with the back heel, where Tino could have had it 2 or 3 yards either side. He would have scored,
Oh,
but he
yeah.
put it straight into Raya's chest. What a good
Mm-hmm.
move
Yeah.
that was!
It was a lovely
There was
move,
another
wasn't it?
one. There was another one just afterwards, like 5 minutes afterwards, between him and Botman, where Botman breaks, basically walks through the Arsenal defence, puts it through to Livramento, and instead he's 1-on-1. The defender's probably catching him, but he just slows down to try and let Wilson catch up, and Wilson could maybe knock it in, but Wilson's just not quick enough. The defence
No.
got back, and it looked like that was the moment where you were going, it's just not going to work for us today.
Yeah.
But yesterday I gave it to Bruno. I thought he was fantastic. But to be honest, I gave both Livramento and Byrne pretty high marks as well. So
Yeah.
either one could have been. But yeah, Raya, probably man of the match. Kiwior was fantastic. And there was a lot of names on our side that were good as well. But if we look ahead to Sunday, obviously, Kieran Trippier looks like he's still going to be injured. Isak could be injured. The question I do want to ask you both is, it's been 5-2-3 for the last two games. Everton at home. Do we go back to the 4-3-3, Joe?
100%. Yeah. I need, yeah, actually both of those 4-3-3 back for the Everton. No, go back to, I was going to say what we're good at, but that's a bit harsh because we've played some great games, obviously, in the positions that we've now played in the last two games. But no, I think the Everton, we need to go back to 4-3-3. And it was a shame, I watched, I don't know if I'd mentioned it in the group, but I watched the game with Dan Burns' dad. Just saying,
right.
yesterday. Not like with him, he was on obviously a different table, but I was
Okay.
in my drunken state. I nearly went over to see him at the end of the match, but he looked foaming. Something went wrong. Apparently, he threw his phone on the table, paid his bill, and sharp exited out. So, would love to know what happened there, by the way, because I'm just nosy. But yeah, so
Ben's dad, get in touch.
I know exactly, and it's funny, because I told someone, they were like, "Is he massive?" And I'm like, "Nah." He's quite small compared
Where
to
does the
Byrne.
height come from?
Where does the height come from? Yeah, facially, you could tell it was his dad, if you know what I mean. But yeah, he's nowhere near as tall as Byrne. But no, that was my only other side bit. But yeah, he wasn't a happy bunny at the end of the match, and I would love to know what it was about. But then again, Byrne was kind of involved in that old ruckus and stuff as well, so I wonder if it had anything to do with that.
The first thing I saw that ruckus was literally one of the players with Byrne's shirt like that. So it might have stemmed from that. But Ian, back to the question: 4-3-3. Will you play it again? Would you want to play it against Everton, or are you happy with the five at the back?
I love the degree of control and security without there being any sacrifice in attacking quality that I saw against Chelsea in the first half, and I saw against Arsenal in the first half. So maybe I would still keep the three lads at the back, give Livramento and Murphy license to go forward. It's just who we've got up front. We've got people that can take those chances. Let's get Osula with the number 9 on his back, figuratively. And Gordon and Barnes, why not? I think that's really attacking. With Bruno and Tonali pulling the strings. And as they shuffle across, either Shah or Byrne being the extra man in midfield. Chelsea never got a kick. Jackson got sent off because he was so frustrated the ball hadn't passed the edge of our box in that first half. And Arsenal were hamstrung in a similar way for the first 30 minutes. That just gives us a half an hour to go to blitz them with a load of mad Geordies at 4 o'clock on the last game of the season. And then we switch to 4-3-3 with a few substitutions when we're 3 or 4 ahead after an hour. I'm happy with that.
I'll tell you what I would like to see on the 4-3-3, by the way. If he's not going to start Osula, I'd rather him stick Gordon in the middle, quite frankly, and put Barnes out left and Murphy on the right. I just nothing against Wilson, but maybe a little bit against Wilson. I just don't want to see him start personally. So if he's going to insist on that, I'd rather him stick bloody Gordon in the middle instead. But
Gordon should be well up for it, shouldn't he, against Everton?
Oh God, yeah.
Particularly in that
he was
away
supposed to be
game,
last
we
time.
missed a penalty.
I know, right? That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
I think he was over up for it the last time. But yeah, you've got to start him. But what do you think? What do you think about this? I don't think it's a. I mean, it just makes us super secure, but I don't think we sacrifice a lot of our attacking strength by playing
I
with
don't
Yeah.
think
Botman in the middle.
I don't think we do against bigger and better teams that are going to attack us. I think when we're up against an Everton who are probably going to sit not 10 men behind the ball, but 8, 9 behind the ball and try and break, give it a Beto, and then have the wingers running off and die probably more than anyone else. I think it might be one of those that we struggle because we just can't break them down because we just don't have that extra number in midfield potentially. I like the 5. I think when you play the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, and stuff, it's brilliant. But I do think against Everton, we maybe need a bit more creativity in the midfield. But I do get where you're coming from because against those bigger teams, we haven't lacked the quality. We should have
If
scored 3
they're
or 4 against Arsenal.
Yeah.
sitting back, then Shah is alongside Tonali as a double pivot, let's say, and Bruno is playing number 10, right off the shoulder of Gordon at centre forward. There's a lot of creativity there to be able to get through that defence. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you have to switch to
Yeah,
it. Maybe it's not plan A. Everton won't be expecting it, that's for sure. They will be
true.
expecting 4-3-3. They could probably pick our team if it was 4-3-3.
Mm.
You know, they'll be wondering whether it's Willock or Miley that plays alongside Bruno and Tonali. They'll be
Yeah.
assuming that it's Murphy, Gordon, and Barnes. So they're training for it all this week. Let's
Well,
mix it up. That's why
just
I like Sula starting.
yeah. I completely agree with the Sula starting. And you mentioned there Willock or Miley. If we do go to the 4-3-3, which hypothetical, Miley came on first against Arsenal. Maybe that's because Willock wasn't 100% fit. But do you think there's a chance that we see Louis Miley in the starting midfield if we do go at that 4-3-3 over Willock? Or do you think because it's the final game of the season, there's a lot of pressure, he'll go with Willock, who, let's be honest, he does trust a little bit more? What do you think, Joe?
Miley's got such a level head. I would start Miley. Like this pressure
Yeah,
thing,
correct.
Miley can handle the pressure. So yeah, no, I'd 100% start Miley. We've had this conversation before when he hasn't still started, but yeah, I would love to see Miley start personally, and I'm sure Ian agrees because Ian loves Miley, right?
I would start Miley. I think Howe will start
Well,
Willock because I think Willock could be playing on the left
unfortunately,
side
yeah.
of
Yeah,
midfield, doing
Yeah.
his lovely runs and overlapping and linking up with Barnes, let's say, and Tino. It's tailor made for him. He's not playing out of position there. So I think that's where Howe would go, unless he's still carrying an injury, in which case he'd trust Miley. He would trust Miley to drop in alongside Tonali and push Bruno further forward, I think.
yeah, I agree, to be honest. And that is pretty much all for our show. Thank you very much for joining me, Ian and Joe. It's been a pleasure. It's our last cup final of the season at the weekend, Sunday, 4 p.m. Make sure you get there for 3:30 and you've had plenty of drinks beforehand, because even though our place in the Europa League is pretty much secured, Sunday will be the difference of, is this the way to Barcelona or are we off to Bologna? Good night.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.